And in the studio I have Derrick Browne, who is the bridge guru on this side of the other bridge, the Harbour Bridge. We'll be talking to Derrick in just a moment, but first, let's have a little bit of music. Here's Renee Gayer.
Thank you, David.
Tell me, how did you get interested in bridge?
Well, as kids, we used to play maybe once a month on a Sunday evening, some sort of card game, and my parents would just look up the book, and one night it happened to be bridge, and although I didn't really know much about the game, I was only 4 or 5, so just had the very basic rudiments. It already kind of hooked me in that very, very basic way.
So a 4-year-old could play bridge?
Well, now in hindsight, what I played then wasn't anything I'd now recognise as bridge. My parents used to tell me if I had a pretty hand then to bid my longest suit, and it was at that sort of basic level. But, you know, already you can pick up the rudiments. So bridge is a trick-taking game in the whist family of card games. Trick-taking meaning that each player at the table plays a card, and normally the highest card of the suit led will win the trick. However, there is also one suit usually chosen as a kind of boss suit or master suit.
You better slow down because you're losing me already.
That suit's called trumps. So the two basic elements of the game are tricks and trumps. So trick, one card played by each of the 4 players at the table, and the highest card of the suit led wins that trick. So, for example, if a spade is led, then whoever puts on the highest spade, if someone puts on a queen, that'll be beaten by a king. But if someone else puts on an ace, that beats all of the others. So the rank of cards is in that normal order: ace, king, queen, jack, 10, 9, etc., standard order.
Right. So it's a game for 4 people?
It is, yes. So you're a partner with the person sitting opposite you.
So the 2 of you are playing against the other 2, is that
That's the way it works, exactly right.
Okay. But they're sitting opposite you, so you can't see what their hand is.
In fact, you shouldn't even be looking at the opponent's hands, David. So if you come along to our lessons, we'll have to, keep you on the straight and narrow.
Oh, yes. Well, no, I know that it'd be sort of cheating, but I thought if it was your partner, then it would be okay. But
there was actually an incident this week that hit the news that the world champions from the seniors tournament at the end of last year have just been disciplined, and one pair from the German team who won have now been banned for life from playing together in any more World Bridge Federation events because they were not peeking at partners' cards or the opponent's cards. What they were doing was doing the cough method to communicate. So that was a little bit too unsubtle.
So you're not
allowed to do that sort of thing.
No. So you're not exactly a partner. I mean, you're not helping each other to win.
Well, you're supposed to help each other to win in a legal way, not by means of coughs or any other secret signals.
No, I can well understand the coughs might be out, but it seems like you're not allowed to. I mean, I'm not quite sure how you can help each other if you don't know what the other person's doing.
Bridge is quite a strategic game. That's one of its interests, I suppose.
Right.
And there are the 2 parts of the game. I mentioned that the aim of the game, the main thrust of the game, is to win as many tricks as possible. So, everyone plays a card, and the highest card of the suit led wins the trick. Except that one suit is usually chosen as a kind of suit that beats anything else. That's the trump suit.
Who chooses that?
Well, that's part of the way that you communicate with your partner. Because before you get on to this part of the game called the play of the cards, you have another aspect which is termed the bidding, and the bidding is where you bid for what suit you want to have as trumps. So according to the bid you make, you'll be communicating information about what you have in your hand. So you'll communicate what suit you want to have as trumps by means usually of the suit that you bid. You'll also be communicating about the strength of your hand.
And in the first place, the cards are shuffled and handed out. Is that how it goes?
Well, yes, that's originally how it was done. Nowadays, those who are familiar with playing in bridge clubs will know that usually the cards are pre-dealt, at least in the bigger clubs. So
Right.
there's a dealing machine linked to a computer. So the computer will tell the dealing machine which cards to give everyone, usually just in a random fashion, but because the computer knows the cards, you can print out a record of what hands everyone has and peruse the deals at the end of the game. Makes it more interesting for the competitors.
Yeah, so, and you keep doing that with the computer, do you, during the game? Are they shuffled more than once?
What you'll have is a set of boards. So you might have a set of 30-odd boards of bridge, trays with the cards in for bridge.
Okay.
So you don't have to shuffle each time, nor do you have to get the dealing machine to deal each time. You just start playing and you've got them all pre-dealt at the start of the session of bridge.
So that's how it works if you go to a club where there's all this machinery and so on.
Yeah, if you're playing at home socially, you might still have invested in a set of these boards or trays to store the cards in, or you might, as you say, just shuffle and deal the cards as you go.
Right, okay. And how long does a game take, roughly?
Roughly 7 minutes.
Oh, okay.
For each hand of bridge, for each round, you play. So each player will have 13 cards. Firstly, you'll do that bidding where you work out what suit you want to have as trumps, and then you'll get onto the play of the cards, and then by the time that's all finished, about 7 minutes will have elapsed.
Right.
That depends. If you're playing over a glass of wine, about 20 minutes may have elapsed, or
okay.
It all depends.
So there's some socialising during the game.
There can be, yes.
And so you mentioned trumps before. I imagine trumping means beating someone in some way.
Yeah, well, so imagine you're playing a game of bridge and your long suit, the suit you have the most number of cards in, is spades, say. Then you'll probably make some bid of spades, and your partner's also long in that suit of spades, will probably try and also bid that suit, support your spades, so you'll go for spades as trumps. Now, there is a little bit more to the game of bridge.
I realise you're not going to tell us how to play today.
You can keep learning for your entire life. I certainly still am.
Right.
But that's just the basic outline of it. So you and your partner may then have agreed on spades as this suit that will beat anything else. And say, for example, that someone leads a heart. Now, normally whoever puts on the biggest heart, say the ace, would win that trick.
Okay.
But it will happen from time to time that one of the players at the table won't have a heart left in hand and then could put on a trump. So if spades had been agreed on as trumps, then even the two of spades would beat even the ace of another suit.
Okay, well now you've got us all beautifully confused, but intrigued as well. So let's listen to Mama Cass for a little while and we'll come back to Derrick in a moment. And fascinated by all the various bits and pieces of bridge. I've now got just a very rough idea of what it's all about. So the next thing would be for me to learn how to play. So where do I go to learn, or how do I learn?
The best way is to actually do a course of lessons rather than try and teach yourself with a book or have your helpful but very advanced friends try and teach you the game. There are quite a lot of bridge clubs around the northern beaches and the northern area. Some of them smaller clubs. There are some bigger clubs, like there's a club called Peninsula Club at Warriewood, and some smaller operations.
And they teach,
Narrabeen, etc. Yeah, to a lesser or greater extent.
Yeah.
But yes, and trumps where I am at Mossman, if that's not out of the area of some of the listeners, we have a quite extensive range of beginner lessons and more advanced lessons as well.
Well, we can't really advertise on this program, but is there a website or something that you could go to find out about trumps?
I'll give you a phone number for the New South Wales Bridge Association. They're the state body. They can tell you any affiliated club that's near your area. That's 9264 8111.
And just repeat that.
That's 9264 8111.
Right.
Or if you're after a website that has our details on, www.trumps.net.au, and we're happy to advise about other clubs in the area.
So if you just Google Trumps, I think you'll probably get all that information.
Absolutely.
And we're learning to Google, aren't we, folks? So we can do that. Oh, that's great. So how long does it take to learn?
The way we do it is 5 lessons of 2 hours each.
Right.
That's called beginner's course.
Okay.
So you can keep on going from there. Some of your listeners will doubtless already play some similar games like 500, for example, and then they'll be familiar with the basics of tricks and trumps. I mentioned that these games all come from the whist family of bridge.
Right.
And it was actually back in the 19th century that Talleyrand, the French diplomat and statesman, once mentioned that when he was talking to someone who didn't play whist, he said to them, alas, what a sad old age you are preparing for yourself. So never too early to learn bridge, but also never too late.
Yes, and it's not something you have to be too physically agile about, but it helps your mind to stay agile, and that's very important in avoiding dementia and just slowing down.
There was a study done a few years ago of bridge players, and it did find that the rates of mental awareness were much better. The bridge was stimulating the cells and keeping the grey matter active. So
well, that's one very good reason for learning to play bridge, and of course it can become an absolutely habitual. You can become addicted, I guess, to playing bridge, because the people I haven't learned yet, but the people in the place where I live, some of them are very addicted to it, and they love it, and it's a very important part of their lives. And they used to be extremely active, the people I'm thinking of, physically active, and now they're able to not have to run around, but to sit down at a table and play bridge.
Sometimes that's how people get into bridge. They are members, for example, very active members of, say, a golf club. Yeah. And then what happens at a golf club when it's raining? Often the people will pop inside and play bridge instead, and they start to get initiated into that. And then eventually, 50 years later, when they find their golf swing is no longer quite what it was, they stay with the golf club but just start playing bridge there. There are a few of the golf clubs that have games at their centres.
And I dare say, particularly if you're a bit lonely, it's a good way to make friends, I would think. I dare say people meet and become very good friends as a result of their days in bridge. I don't know whether they've done a study on that, but it seems logical that you probably would.
Yeah, it's Martina Navratilova who said once that that's one of the things she loves about bridge, is that wherever she goes in the world, you can't necessarily make friends through playing tennis, but she can sit down at a bridge table and make new friends all over the place.
And I think these are more real than the friends you sort of make on Facebook, which is what they call friends there is a very superficial idea of friendship, I think, sometimes. I'm not talking about the people you already know, but people that just want to join your Facebook page randomly, it seems. Well, Derrick, thank you very much for coming in and telling us about that today. I'm certainly thinking I might start to learn. And listeners, just give that phone number of the New South Wales Association again, if you would, Derrick.
That's 9264 8111. That's 9264 8111, and I'm sure they'll be happy to give out any details of bridge clubs that might be suitable for your listeners.
Okay.
And one thing I also ran into the other day that I grabbed my attention was a comment by Warren Buffett, which I thought summed up how addictive a game bridge is, as you say. And he said, bridge is such a sensational game that I wouldn't mind being in jail if I had 3 cellmates who are decent players.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't think I'd go that far, but I might very well become imprisoned by the game itself. All right. Thank you again, Derrick.
Thanks, David.
Let's hear a little bit from Gene Pitney. And fascinated by all the various bits